Hi guys, it's Phil and John from Golf Datatech, and we're here today to discuss custom fitting. Recently, Golf Datatech completed a in-depth study of the custom fit market, and by request, we are putting a few thoughts together in a video so that we can share some ideas and feedback, and just open up a little bit of discussion, A, about the report, B, about custom fitting in general, and having a little chat about differences between the UK and US, which hopefully will be of use to many of our customers, and for those that are genuinely interested in custom fitting and what it has to offer for their business. So John, kick us off. Tell us a bit about the study. I know that you ended up with dozens of golf clubs because you spent quite a lot of time getting fitted yourself. Tell us about it, and what's the general situation with custom fitting? Is it here to stay, I suppose, is the first question.
Yeah, well, Phil, as you know, everybody is familiar with, the fitting continues to be one of the primary ways for people to buy new golf clubs, whether it's drivers or irons. Our data shows that about 80% of serious golfers have been fit at some time in their life. So that's a pretty significant chunk of the marketplace. They don't always come back the next time they buy, but they do get fit. Part of the beauty of fitting is that that the clubs are supposedly or generally fit for your swing and the way you play, and for your height, your swing speed, etc. And it's become a very popular way to be fit.
I suppose with the inflation story that we've seen a lot, and that's not just inflation, which we're all kind of suffering in our economies, but in terms of the price increase generally we've seen in clubs for the last few years, extracting more value out of that club is becoming increasingly important. And is it perceived that getting custom fit is a way to do that? Do people think they're getting more from it? I mean, talking from personal experience, I would say I've definitely got more from it because I'm not good enough to not be custom fit, I've decided, because the difference between one shaft and the next, which to me as a layperson wouldn't really know much about it, I assume that's a general consensus, is it?
Yeah, I mean, what we find is that over 90% of golfers who've been fit were satisfied with their most recent fitting. So customer satisfaction is very high. In fact, the number who are extremely satisfied was almost 2 out of 3. So people are, they get fit, they're very happy. It is more expensive typically. You do spend a little bit more to get a custom fit club in many places. The reality is that that's a double-edged sword. So from an industry point of view, we're selling clubs at a higher price point, which is good. The profitability is better. However, the downside to that is that we're finding golfers are holding on to their clubs longer because they've been custom fit and they're more expensive. So it's you're seeing a kind of a slowing of the purchase cycle at the same time prices are going up. So it's truly a double-edged sword. But generally speaking, the golfers are very happy with what their experience is.
So I suppose if their incentive to buy is reduced because they are getting better clubs, they are getting more value for their higher purchase price, which is
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think they perceive they're getting a better product.
Yeah.
In fact, most people, if you've been through custom fitting, you will find that certainly if you're comparing it to a club that you bought 3, 4, 5 years ago, the odds are very good you're going to get better performance, because not only has the club itself been improved, but the fitting process, the utilization of launch monitors and the really in-depth deep dive into data has made custom fitting much more specific, and you can get more distance and more consistency. The big question ultimately I think most people end up with after they've been fit is they're in the cage with multiple heads and multiple shafts, and in the end they might say hit the new custom fit driver 3 to 5 yards farther. Is that worth the additional the cost involved? And that's ultimately what happens. But sometimes if you're testing against a club that's 3, 4, 5 years old, you can generate 15, 20 yards more distance when you've been properly fit.
So there's kind of two things there, isn't there? There's distance. There's also, certainly from experiences I've had of late, where it's actually consistency which has improved. So you know, it's getting harder to make the ball go further, but if I can make the ball go further more on average, then that's obviously a benefit. Just moving on, I think what would be really useful, especially for people, obviously this study was done in the US, obviously custom fitting goes on around the world. I think it would also be really useful just to have a little discussion to see what the differences are between the US and the UK, because my perception of custom fit is quite different to how I think a lot of the proposition in the US is concerned. So just to explain that, in the UK, the majority of custom fit is probably done in a similar kind of way, but you're usually looking at a set of options that are provided by a brand. And so you've got shaft A, B, and C, and head A1 and 2, and you will get a combination of one of the heads and one of the shafts, and that will usually be what the brand provides. And that would be my interpretation of custom fit. But for a lot of people, and especially in the US, it can be quite different, can't it?
Yeah, and in fact, what you described is still a significant portion of the U.S. fitting, in that you go to your golf pro and you get fit. He finds the right shaft, the right head for you, and then he orders it through the manufacturer, who assembles it, ships it to you, and you get the product. That's the way it was always done here. About 15 years ago, the custom fitting specialty stores really started to get very strong in the marketplace. Today, they're the #1 place where people go to get custom fit for clubs in the U.S. But oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, those fittings will end up with you getting a club that's truly custom, that is has unique and exotic shafts, and is assembled by the custom fit company themselves. So there are two types of custom fittings. You're right. That has become more popular here in the United States, the idea of the custom fitters who are also assemblers, but there's still a fair amount done by the manufacturers, and it all depends on what you want, how discerning you are, and whether you want to pay the upcharges for the custom fitting through the custom fitting specialists.
Okay. So just to give us a little bit more facts, so if you obviously you've got a report, what kind of use or what kind of data or what kind of information is available within the report, and how might that help either brands or, I suppose, retailers, it would just be as valid to understand custom fitting better?
Right. I mean, the way we structured this is it's truly a deep dive. I mean, we have hundreds of crosstabs looking at, we get down into the individual retailers, the operations, whether it's an off-course specialty store, or if it's a sporting goods location, or if it's a custom fitting specialist or your golf pro. I mean, we do dive into all of that. We look at prices people are paying, the different product categories, because it's very different. Drivers and irons are custom fitted very high levels. Wedges and putters, not so much. And, there's probably an opportunity there. I think a lot of putter brands have looked to try to exploit that, but so far no one has really unlocked that particular category, because let's face it, the putter is the club you use the most. You'd think being custom fit there would be, very important, but so far no one's really gotten into that. So we cover all that, and probably one of the more important things, which I think people don't take into consideration normally, because there's so much focus on the product and the data that comes from the launch monitor, it's the human element. When you go to get custom fit, people's perceptions of their custom fitting experience are much better when they have a positive interaction with the fitter. So having an experienced and knowledgeable fitter is really the critical linkage between the product and the data. It's the third leg of the stool that makes the experience really good.
Cool. Okay. Wow, that's all really interesting stuff. So this report is done now. It's available for anyone who's interested. Contact you at Golf Datatech.
Right. That'll be great.
More details. Okay.
Sure.
We can post that afterwards. Great. Okay. Well, thanks for that summary. That was some interesting stuff there. And I'm sure if there's anyone out there that needs or wants to know more about custom fitting, this report will provide a whole host of details. One other thing I just thought is this is part of a series, isn't it? So there's actually trending. So one thing, just doing a snapshot has some value, but actually understanding how the market's moving, which is this number 2 or 3 in the series? How many reports have there been?
We started back in 2003, and this is
okay.
It's the ninth edition of this. So you can see how the market changed. I mean, back when we started, the Golf Pro was the dominant place people were being fit.
Yeah.
Then it kind of the flow moved into the off-course specialty store, and then they became dominant. And today the custom fitting specialists have taken over and are the primary place people go to be fit. But we're starting to see a lot of fight back from the off-course specialty stores, who have a lot of them are, creating their own experiences. And that's really what this is about. It's not just strictly a one-time, interchange or interaction. You go in and you buy. This is really about creating an experience. And if you can create an experience that people enjoy, they're going to buy.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, great. Obviously, got any questions? We'll stick them on socials and we'll stick details of the report there. John, thanks very much.
Thanks.